Hi, everybody. Good afternoon, everyone. We're just populating the webinar. We'll be starting in just a minute here. All right, I'm going to get started. Welcome, everyone, to Lunch and Learn. I want to thank the Ocean City Library and Julie Howard for hosting once again and having me present. I'm always glad to be here. Such a great group of people to work with at the Ocean City Library, and especially Julie Howard. I also want to introduce myself. My name is Chris Zellers, and I'm with Rutgers Cooperative Extension of Cape May County. And I am the Family and Community Health Sciences Educator and Assistant Professor. And I'm going to be presenting to you today on bringing vegetables to the table, a celebration of the harvest. And obviously a good topic and, something that people are always interested in hearing about. This presentation was actually written by my colleague, Sherry Siriano. Sherry is a licensed registered dietitian, and she does my job in Warren County. And she has a whole series on functional foods. And I presented before to the library in Ocean City on different functional food topics that Sherry's written. And so it's really it's a very comprehensive curriculum she's written in presentations. And it's a really, it'll give you a lot of really good information. So without further ado, I'm going to get started on this. Like I said, this program was brought to you by my department, the Family and Community Health Sciences Department of Rutgers Cooperative Extension, Rutgers University in New Jersey. And FCHS provides education to nutrition and healthy lifestyle for nutrition and healthy lifestyles throughout New Jersey and beyond. And we have an overall goal to improve the health of individuals, families, and communities. And just to give you a quick review of what a functional food is, a functional food is one that has a potentially beneficial effect on health when consumed on a regular basis and at certain levels. All foods are on some level considered to be a functional food, and there are substances other than their well-known nutrients. And in some foods that may provide health benefits. So foods with the potential health benefits are known as functional foods. So foods that are perceived to have these health benefits are called functional foods. It's important to note there's no legal definition or universally accepted definition in the United States for functional foods. So that means that they're not regulated in any way by like a government entity such as the FDA or the USDA. But the series on functional foods is solely focused on whole foods or beverages that have been shown through recent research to provide possible health benefits. And as you'll see as we go through this vegetable presentation, vegetables do have many qualities that allow them to be defined as a functional food. And as I mentioned in the past, I've done different functional food presentations for the library. And, we've done coffee and chocolate and different things. I do have those recordings up on my website for the Rutgers Cooperative Extension of Cape May County's Family and Community Health Sciences, so you could watch those recordings if you like. And I know Julie's always scheduling different ones throughout, so you might be able to pick up some of them, those other topics later on. Just to give you an overview of the objectives of this presentation, we're going to try to acquaint you with several different types of vegetables, especially from New Jersey and even beyond. I'll review a little bit about the history of the vegetables. And then we're going to learn about some of the research and the current believed health benefits of vegetables, as well as the recommendations for including vegetables as part of a healthful plant-based diet. I know a lot more people are eating more plant-based now. I know I am. And, it does provide a lot of good nutrients, nutrient-dense food for us. The overarching message of the Functional Food for Life presentation educational programs are to increase your understanding of the benefits of all plant-based foods, and that includes vegetables, of course, and how they can be a healthful part of any diet. So just to give you the overview on that. So let's talk a little bit about the definitions for vegetables. For our purposes today, a vegetable is defined as an edible part of the plant, and that can include leaves, such as spinach. You think about the part you eat of spinach, it's the leaf. Roots, such as the carrot, stalks, such as celery, bulbs, such as onions, and flowers such as broccoli or cauliflower. Some vegetables are really fruits in the botanical sense, which include things like cucumbers, peppers, squash, tomatoes, and many others. And that's because they're the flower part of the, they're the fruit. I mean, the fruit of the plant we eat. But today we're referring to these as vegetables in the culinary sense. So, I get into discussion all the time, especially with the kiddos about, is a tomato a fruit or a vegetable? Well, it can be classified as a fruit. I know most places, the USDA considers it a vegetable because of the way that we eat it. So let's talk a little bit about vegetables in New Jersey. We're really known here in New Jersey for sweet corn and tomatoes, but there's a lot of vegetables that are grown in New Jersey. Bell peppers, for example, they top the list of in value of production in dollars for vegetables. $56 million in 2020 for peppers, and that's up considerably over the years. So we keep increasing that pepper crop here. Also, asparagus is a $15 million crop in 2020. Squash was an $11 million crop in New Jersey in 2020, and spinach was a $6 million crop in 2020. So some of the other things you might not think of being grown here, obviously, are big producers for us in New Jersey. Vegetables that used to make the list here in New Jersey, but were too small to be counted in 2020 included sweet corn, cabbage, sweet potatoes, snap beans, and then of course, tomatoes. Let's review the 3 Jersey favorites. I know they're always ones I look forward to having in the summertime: peppers, tomatoes, and corn. So, let's look first here at peppers. So peppers are native to South America, and it's believed that birds spread the seeds of peppers all over the Americas, and that contributed to the widespread availability early on of this vegetable. They're named peppers. They were named peppers by Columbus because he thought that they were that he was in the Far East when he landed here, and he had found the plant of the black pepper spice, so he named them peppers. Bell peppers are not as hot as some of the other varieties of peppers, and capsaicin is the substance in peppers responsible for causing the pain associated with peppers. So when you bite into that hot pepper, that's the pain you're getting is coming from that substance. If you need to calm that fire you feel in your mouth, or what that you eat a hot pepper and it's caused by that pepper, if you need to calm that pepper flavor hot down, remember that capsaicin is not water soluble. So if you drink a glass of water, it's only going to give you a temporary fix to that burning. Instead, alcohol, fats, and oil will kind of dissolve that and give you some relief. So try a beer or wine or some creamy food to try to soak up that hot pepper burning that you might feel. All peppers have antioxidant properties in them, and they're a good source of vitamin C. Red, orange, and yellow peppers contain beta carotene, which is converted into the body to vitamin A. Benefits from vitamin A include sharp vision, smooth, healthy skin, strong bones, and normal reproduction. Both vitamins A and C have antioxidant properties in them, and the benefit of that is numerous to get those properties. Peppers also contain a good source of fiber to promote digestion, so they help to have everything flow through the body properly. Next, we have corn, which is another Jersey favorite. Corn is a member of the grass family, and it originated in Central and South America. It was cultivated for several thousand years, and it was a staple crop for the Native Americans. It played an important role in religious and ceremonial life for the Native Americans. It was also used by Native Americans for money, and in Mexico, the stalk supplied the building materials to build homes and was used as medicine and also to dress wounds. Later in colonial America, corn kept colonists alive during in Massachusetts in the winter of 1620. New settlers were taught, colonists were taught of the worth of by Native Americans of corn. And corn continues to be a really important crop with exports of up to 20% just last year. The 3 main countries that the U.S. exports corn to are Mexico, Japan, and China. And corn has fiber, which we've said already is important. It has B vitamins, vitamin C, as well as other vitamins and minerals, including lutein, zeaxanthin, and they're both beneficial for eye health. So getting some benefits from that corn right away. And then many people, when you think of vegetables in New Jersey, you're going to think about the New Jersey tomato, one of my favorite summer things to have to eat. I'm just now finishing up the last of my tomatoes from my garden, my Jersey tomatoes. But tomatoes actually originated in South America, and they came to the United States with the early settlers also. And they were known in New Jersey. They were grown here in New Jersey as least as early as the 1700s. They started growing here. The famous Rutgers tomato, which you might have heard of, was created by plant research at the New Jersey Agricultural Experiment Station, which is part of Rutgers University. It was a very successful tomato variety that was created here at Rutgers and was used for canning. And it was used by about 3/4 of the canners in the United States by the 1950s. Although it's no longer a top producer of tomatoes due to the state, New Jersey is no longer a top producer of tomatoes because of, we don't really have the seasons here that some of the other states do for that year-round weather. But it's still a really important crop for us in New Jersey. The health benefits of tomatoes are numerous as well, due to the antioxidants, the vitamin C, and the lycopene that they contain. Let's talk a little bit about vegetable subgroups. So when you're considering how to view vegetables, the focus can be from several different angles. We're going to be taking a look at 5 subgroups of vegetables, which are, which there are studies on and recommendations. So first, we're going to look at the cruciferous vegetables, the root vegetables, green leafy vegetables, starchy vegetables, and then finally vegetables that are from the allium family. And as you'll see, some vegetables belong to more than one group. I'll mention those. They kind of cross over into the 2 groups. Just to make a note, the information and research that's being supplied in the following slides is from the Diet, Nutrition, Physical Activity, and Cancer, a global perspective. Also, Continuous Update Project Expert Report that was released in 2018 by the World Cancer Research Fund and the American Institute for Cancer Research. And these reports are created by world experts, people that get together from around the world in cancer prevention. And they do this, they put these journals out about these research journals about every 10 years, approximately. So let's look at the faves of the cruciferous vegetables. Say this, I'm going to have to say this 5 times fast. So keep me in your prayers for this one. The name cruciferous comes from the fact that the flower of these plants have 4 petals, and it looks like a crucifier or cross. So that's why they were named that. And members of this cruciferous family includes those listed on the screen that you can see. And they do not include, vegetables include non-starchy vegetables. So you're going to notice that these are all non-starchy. And as we mentioned, as I mentioned earlier, keep an eye out because some of these are going to end up in other categories as well. The cruciferous vegetables are non-starchy vegetables that provide dietary fiber, folate, carotenes, glucinates, flavonoids, and vitamin C. And because of the high fiber, there is very convincing evidence that these vegetables are protective for colorectal cancer and weight-related issues. Because they're non-starchy vegetables, cruciferous vegetables probably lower the risk for cancers of the mouth, pharynx, larynx, esophagus, and stomach. Probable protection, so to dignify those words I just used. So probable protection means that there's a lot of data pointing towards protection, but not quite enough to be meaning that they're in the next high category of decreased risk, which is convincing. So they protect against several other types of cancer due to their substance in cruciferous vegetables, including lung cancer, bladder cancer, and breast cancer. And these vegetables have strong cooking aroma, which I'm sure if you've ever made them, you have smelled that strong cooking aroma. And they try to follow tips to enhance their flavor when you're cooking these to intensify, without intensifying the aroma. You can eat them raw or cooked cook them soon after you purchase them, so don't leave them in the fridge for too long. And if you are cooking them, do so quickly until they're just tender and crisp. So you don't want to overcook them and make them mushy. You want them to be a little crisp and tender. And then also you want to try to eat those leftovers within 1 day, because I know if you've ever had the broccoli or cauliflower or Brussels sprouts in the fridge cooked for more than a day, they do get a little smelly in there. So the recommendation is to try to eat those leftovers within 1 day to avoid that very pungent smell that they give off, that aroma. All right, next on the list, we have the root vegetables. And this category contains many of the vegetables that we associate with the fall harvest or autumn harvest. Roots and tubers are energy stores of plants that have different definitions around the world. We're going to include the following list, which isn't inclusive for our purposes today, which include carrots, beets, parsnips, and turnips. And also, we should note that the parsnips and turnips are in that carnivorous vegetable group, but these are non-starchy root vegetables. Sweet potatoes are also a storage root, and potatoes and true yams are tubers. Tubers have tips of the underground stem that swell with starch and water, and these root vegetables are tubers and are in the starchy vegetable category. So let's talk about the root tubers and the vegetables a little bit more. Again, fiber content I cited the WCRF and the AICR third global report. These vegetables may be protective against colorectal cancer, and other foods that are high in fiber include fruit, whole grains, and legumes. And high fiber, I keep going back to that high fiber. It's really beneficial for our health for so many reasons. We do not get enough fiber as Americans in our diet because we don't eat enough fruits and vegetables mainly. But, adding more fruits and vegetables is going to increase your fiber, and it's going to help, reason fibrous foods like fruits and vegetables are good is because they are nutrient dense, but they also are low in energy density. So that means they give us that boost without a lot of calories. So when I say energy density, I'm talking about calories. So they have, they're low in calories. They have the fiber attached to them, help everything move through our digestive system well. And they give us that little boost of nutrient dense food. When I say too, they don't have the empty calories, I make reference to that too. That's known as nutrient dense. So they have a lot of good nutrients in them, but they're not empty. And just to give you a little example about that, I'll compare a chocolate bar versus one of these, a chocolate bar compared to a piece of a vegetable, like a tuber. So a turnip, we'll use a turnip, approximately 4 ounces, is about 34 calories. So that energy density level is 34 calories in a 4-ounce turnip. And then if you take a chocolate bar that weighs approximately 4 ounces, it's about 450 calories. So you can see the difference. You have the 450 calories, a lot of energy density in that product, but not a lot of nutrient density, versus the 4 ounces of the turnip that has 34 energy calories. So it's a big difference. Even if that's 13 times the calories in the chocolate bar as in the turnip. So even if you eat 1 serving of the chocolate bar, which is about a third of a chocolate, that's still going to be 180 calories. So it's still 5 times as much as the turnip. So, just to give you an idea, when you're trying to eat a healthy, well-balanced diet, if you load up on those fruits and vegetables, like a turnip, for instance, that's going to have 34 calories and 4 ounces, it's going to fill you up. It's going to give you fiber. It's going to stay with you longer than the candy bar that is going to be a lot more calories, and it's going to be lower in that energy density. So it's going to make it easier for you to maintain a healthy weight. When you do go and you purchase your tubers, look for unblemished skin on them. Avoid those with the soft spots. You want to make sure that they're nice and firm. Black areas or corky bits, make sure that you're avoiding them. And also look, they want to smell earthy. They just came out of the earth, so they want to smell earthy, but they don't want to smell like musty and moldy. So make sure that you're getting a fresh vegetable when you purchase it, because then it's going to be more likely to be healthy for you. We also need to talk a little bit about these aluminum vegetables. Aluminum vegetables belong to the family, which include onions, chives, garlic, shallots, and leeks. And there's actually 1,200 different species of allumium vegetables. They're unique for their sulfur-containing flavor components or compounds. And they also, according to the AICR, potential health benefits shown primarily in laboratory studies. They indicate that the compounds found in garlic in particular exhibit anti-cancer activities in the lab. However, so far, these activities haven't been defined to be shown definitively in human studies, but there is positive outcomes in the lab for that. Questions remain about more information on this, and we really need to do more studies about them. But those allumium vegetables are also not, they're also non-starchy vegetables. Boy, that salad looks good right now, right? Lunchtime. So let's talk a little bit about those green leafy vegetables. Examples of dark green leafy vegetables include turnips. So there's the leaf of the turnip, the mustard greens, and the collard greens. Spinach is also a green leafy vegetable, kale, chicory, Swiss chard, and many varieties of lettuce, which include your romaine, your arugula, and your red, dark green lettuces, as seen here in the picture in the colander. In general, the darker the lettuce, the more compounds it includes that promote health benefits. So, that deep, rich color is got phytochemicals in there, and they're giving you a lot of that nutrient dense, low energy, low calorie that we talked about in the last slide. The health benefits of, the green leafy vegetables due to the carotene and vitamin C found in these vegetables, particularly spinach, may be numerous, and they include possible protection against cancer of the lung, colon cancer, and certain types of breast cancers. And the carotene and vitamin C act as antioxidants, and they protect our cells from damage that can cause certain types of cancer. And due to the dietary fiber in green leafy vegetables, they can also protect against colorectal cancer and overweight and obesity. Again, they're going to fill us up, they're fibery, and make us feel full longer and help everything move through the body properly. When you cook leafy greens, be sure to wash them right before you use them, or they're going to spoil, they're going to get wilty. And it's also recommended that you rip the leaves with your hand versus cutting them. Cutting them with a knife could promote browning of the leaves. So you want to make sure that, if you have that, like one of these species, the red or the green here, you rip the leaves from the bottom rather than cutting them, so you don't make them become green or brown and spoiling. Green vegetables are another example of a non-starchy vegetable. So we talked about a lot of the non-starchy vegetables. Here's examples of starchy vegetables. And this category obviously includes, we've all heard it before, potatoes, corns, peas, and lima beans, but it also includes winter squash, sweet potatoes and yams, as well as cassia and taro. And it's important to note that one big difference between starchy and non-starchy vegetables is that the starchy variety have more calories than the non-starchy. So they can have as much as 3 times as much as the non-starchy vegetable. Diets high in starchy vegetable and low in non-starchy vegetables have been found to be not be as beneficial to overall health and diets that contain only small amounts of non-starchy vegetables. Fruit and legumes are likely to be in the low essential micronutrients and thereby increase susceptibility to some cancers. But they outweigh, again, I always say, the candy bar versus the turnip. You want to take that turnip. So it's still a good benefit. Certain starchy vegetables, such as the winter squash, they don't contain important they do contain important vitamins and minerals and fiber. So they have been associated with several health benefits, and research on specific health benefits of the group as a whole is really limited. However, winter squash in particular is a source of beta carotene and other carotenes, and studies on groups of people, so population studies, have indicated that having higher blood levels of carotenes are associated with a lower risk of overall cancers. And as always, it's important to remember that you want to eat a variety of vegetables, which include a sufficient amount of non-starchy and starchy vegetables. So, obviously you don't want to have it dinner every night. You don't want to have a sweet potato and a regular potato, or, you want to, or a sweet, or a potato and corn. Try to mix that up a little bit. So you're intermixing those starchy and non-starchy vegetables, as well as a variety of not just types of vegetables, but colors of vegetables. So you want to try to eat a rainbow from all the different colors of vegetables and fruits. A little bit about the research on vegetables as a whole, the health benefits are out there, and as a whole, to determine their potential health benefits, it's been ongoing. Really what happens is that the people study both vegetables and fruit at the same time, and they're both beneficial, and they both contribute to prevention of chronic disease due to the fact that they're nutrient dense. So they're going to be good for us, by virtue of their nutrient density. And based on a review of several studies on intake of vegetables and fruits and preventing chronic disease, the strength of the evidence was judged and then put into 4 different categories. So convincing, which meant at least 2 studies of highest quality showed consistent data results. Probable, which meant consistent evidence, but some weakness in there. Possible, most studies showed consistent results. Or insufficient data, which means that it was not enough data to be sufficient. And we're going to talk about those that are convincing and probable in a minute here. Oops. So with the cancer benefits, it's been estimated that about 1/3 of all cancer deaths in the United States could have been prevented by simply making changes in the diet. Vegetables in general have many health benefits, including a decreased risk of cancer. And according to the AICR and WCRF Third Global Report, evidence for eating non-starchy vegetables is convincing. Remember, we said convincing was good, for a decreased risk of cancer of the head and neck area, which includes the mouth, the pharynx, the larynx, and the nasopharynx, as well as the esophagus, the lungs, stomach, and colorectal cancers. Currently, there's not enough evidence that foods containing beta-carotene and beta-carotene supplements have an effect on prostate cancer, as was previously thought, but a substantial effect on risk is unlikely. So they thought originally, but now there's more studies coming out that have been more conclusive that it's not as evident. The protective effects for those in convincing decreased risk areas may be due to a variety of compounds in vegetables, which include vitamins, minerals, dietary fiber, and phytochemicals, all undergoing protective activities that are not fully known at this time. Antioxidant activities and other preventative activities of these compounds found in vegetables and all plant foods may help to prevent or reduce or delay the actions in our body that can affect the production of all the death of cancer cells. And just a reminder about antioxidants, many normal body functions and outside influences such as smoking and stress result in the formation of free radicals. So antioxidants help to guard our cells from these free radicals to avoid cell damage that can lead to disease such as cancer or heart disease. So, it's good to have the prevention of the free radicals that help here. Coronary heart disease continues to be the single largest cause of premature death in the world. And some of the research on heart disease prevention focuses on vegetables and fruits, not vegetables alone, as I mentioned before. But a majority of these studies show a decrease in the risk of heart disease with an intake of produce. So increasing that produce in both vegetables and fruit, again, both have phytochemicals, both have fiber, nutrient dense, low in calories. There's evidence that can help show a decrease in the risk of heart disease. The evidence that the heart disease can be prevented by consuming large amounts of vegetables and fruits is very convincing. And as with the decreased risk of certain cancers, these protective effects may be due to a variety of compounds in the vegetables, including those antioxidants and certain phytochemicals. So they think that variety of vegetables also, if you're eating a variety of vegetables, you're going to have a variety of antioxidants and phytochemicals. Also, flavonoids, which is a type of phytochemical, were found to be significantly linked to a decreased risk of myocardial infarction or a heart attack, and dying from heart disease, and levels of LDA and total cholesterol in the blood. Examples of these flavonoids include camphor and quercetin, and are found in some carnivorous vegetables. So in those different carnivorous vegetables that we mentioned in the beginning. Antioxidants and phytochemicals are thought to work towards preventing or delaying hardening of the arteries and decreasing clumping together of platelets that can lead to a clot. So the makings and absorbing of cholesterol, the reducing blood pressure and inflammation, they can all be beneficial from eating these fruits and veggies. All of these things together and singularly can help to reduce the risk of heart disease overall. And data on vegetable intake and heart disease risk was reviewed by the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey from 1999 to 2014. And this is a large ongoing study that assessed the vegetable intake of 38,981 adults during that time frame. And results showed that those were reported eating dark green vegetables had a lower chance of having cardiovascular disease and coronary heart disease in comparison to those who reported eating no green leafy vegetables. So, if you have a history of heart disease in your family, it might be good to consider trying some of those green veggies. A study from the Netherlands found that the risk of heart disease was decreased when consuming both raw and processed cooked forms of vegetables, and also with recommendations to eat vegetables and fruits to help chronic diseases. We're often asked about the roles of pesticides in fruits and vegetables in our jobs as family and community health educators. And in two large ongoing studies, they looked at this and they looked at participants' vegetable and fruit intake and then put the produce into high, low pesticide residue produce categories. And the results showed that those who had a greater intake of low pesticide residues, fruits and vegetables, did have an association with lower risks of chronic heart disease, whereas high pesticide residue fruits and vegetable intake was unrelated to the cardiovascular heart disease risks. And those eating at least 4 or more servings of fruits and vegetables per day had a 20% lower risk of coronary heart disease. So similarly, an earlier review of studies known as a meta-analysis showed that 13 studies were pulled together that a daily intake of 400 grams, which is about 2 cups of vegetables each day, can really help reduce the risk by 18%. So you have several studies there. They're all showing, the different benefits. Obviously there are health benefits there to eating the fruits and vegetables and, in preventing that coronary heart disease. Also, type 2 diabetes. I wanted to, there's a little information that Sherry put in here. I want to review with you. Obesity is an established risk for type 2 diabetes. And we'll see, since vegetables and fruit intake is associated with a decrease in weight development, that they in turn indirectly decrease the risk of diabetes. So to break that down, we said that, fruits and vegetables are hot, nutrient dense, but they're low in calories. So they help you to manage your weight a little bit better. They put you at less, if you eat more of them, they're going to put you at less risk for obesity, easier to maintain a healthy weight. So by virtue, it's going to decrease your risk of diabetes. Because vegetable and fruits are also high in fiber, this also makes them a reason that they decrease the risk of diabetes. And a 2015 review of several studies found that 2 to 3 servings of vegetables daily may increase the risk of type 2 diabetes than consumption of other levels of these foods. However, a more recent meta-analysis did not find a significant direct association between vegetable intake and a risk reduction for type 2 diabetes. More studies are really needed in this area to settle this question. I try to explain it all the time, it's an ever-changing science, and as our food supply changes and we change, there's constantly studying these things. So they're definitely going to look more into these things. As for obesity, a review of studies has shown that vegetables can contribute to preventing obesity in different ways. There's possible evidence that if one increases their vegetable and fruit intake, they will not gain weight, thus promoting weight stability. And a recent review of studies indicated that the use of educational interventions to promote vegetables and fruits intake significantly reduced weight and overweight in individuals. So once again, showing that nutrient dense, low calorie can help us out. Let's talk a little bit about the preparation of vegetables, whether you eat them raw or you cook. Almost all forms of cooking reduces the total nutrient content of vegetables. The amount that this occurs depends on the nutrient involved and the cooking method. So different cooking methods are going to vary the nutrient density. Even though raw vegetables may have more nutrients overall, they may be better absorbed by the body if the vegetable is cooked. So that's going to vary. So for example, the bioavailability of carotenes from a vegetable such as a carrot is enhanced by cooking it and pureeing it. And even so, if a small amount of fat such as oil is added, because carotene is fat soluble. So it will be better absorbed if fat is included with the carrots, just a little bit though, don't go overboard on it. The lycopene that's cooked in tomatoes, for instance, also, like in a sauce or a paste or something like that, is 4 times more bioavailable than in raw tomatoes. So on the other hand, if you compare that with green vegetables such as broccoli and green beans, have water soluble vitamins in them too. So they may have more nutrient bioavailability raw or steamed rather than boiled. So there's, again, that different level. Broccoli and other cruciferous vegetables are good to eat either raw or lightly cooked. And some research has shown that by blanching or steaming cruciferous vegetables, vegetables just until they're tender or crisp, will allow for the availability of protective compounds in these vegetables. The bottom line is not to vary only your vegetable choices, but also your cooking methods. So eat the tomato raw, eat the tomato in sauce, kind of have it different ways. So have a variety of ways you're cooking it as well as the variety that you're eating. Also, suggestions for cooking can include roasting, baking, steaming, sauteing, pureeing, stir frying, shredding them, or even eating them just raw. So, the benefits there, no matter which way you do it, it's just going to vary by vegetable a little bit. Vegetable preparations methods, there are many ways to cook vegetables to enhance their flavor, preserve their nutrients, and, keep those colors nice and keep them interesting and enticing to eat. Steaming, where you place the vegetable in a steamer basket above boiling water, tightly cover the pan to keep that steam in there and cook them until tender and crisp. And steaming preserves more nutrients. It preserves the flavor as well and the texture and other cooking method than maybe some other cooking methods. And it's especially good for green vegetables. Blanching, to blanch a vegetable, you're going to plunge the vegetable into boiling water for about 1 to 3 minutes and quickly then transfer that vegetable, scoop it out and transfer it into ice water to stop the cooking process. So this is really good for hard vegetables such as carrots. It'll stop them from being mushy. Same with broccoli and peppers. And that's going to make them tender and crisp. And it can even, prep them for later use. So it's good to blanch. You'll hear sometimes I do talks on canning and things like that. And we'll talk a little bit about preserving vegetables. And sometimes I'll say you can blanch them to freeze them. So blanching is a good method, if you want to keep those fresh vegetables from the garden for later. Say you have, all the peppers come in at once. You can, do what I said, boil them for 1 to 3 minutes, drop them in the ice water, and then take them out, and you can freeze them or prepare them for later and keep them in their nice fresh state that way. And it's going to be a little better when it's frozen after you've blanched it for the peppers and the carrots and the broccoli. Braising is another way that you can cook vegetables. You're going to place those vegetables in a small amount of liquid, such as a broth or water. And then the liquid can be flavored with maybe chopped tomatoes, onions, garlics, or herb, some kind of fresh herb. And then it can be placed as a sauce for a vegetable, on top of something. And braising is best for long cooking vegetables, such as carrots or potatoes. And also for it's really great for green leafies, long cookers like kale, for instance. So it's going to make it nice and soft, give it a little flavor there. Stir frying. So to stir fry, you're going to use a small amount of oil, fat-free broth or nonstick spray, and you're going to cook the vegetables over high heat. You're going to toss them continuously until they're tender. Small pieces of vegetables work best for this. So you're going to want to, cut them into strips or smaller chunks with this method. And then a wok is the traditional pan for stir frying, but even a heavy metal skillet will work, get it up to heat that way. And you don't have to go out and buy a wok to do it. You can do it in a heavy skillet. Roasting, this is one of my favorite things to do this time of year. You want to toss the vegetables in a small amount of olive oil, season them with maybe some fresh herbs like rosemary and thyme, and roast them at a high heat for probably the heat about 400 to 450. You're going to roast them in a tender, shallow baking pan in one layer. So you want to, you want to have them stacked up. You want to layer them out. And this is great for cooking these winter vegetables. Like I said, squash, carrots, beets, potatoes, sweet potatoes, eggplant, peppers, and tomatoes. Toss them all in there. And it makes a really nice side dish or even main dish. For grilling, you can brush the vegetables with a small amount of oil or marinade. And, you can marinate them like maybe in a teriyaki sauce or some type of low-fat dressing and place them on the grill. And this works great for tomatoes, those bigger mushrooms, or winter squash, summer squash, and even peppers. And sometimes people have the little grill baskets that they'll toss them in and then put them in the grill basket on the grill to cook those veggies up. Also, microwaving, you can place vegetables in a microwave container with a small amount of liquid in them. And then you're going to stir or rotate them and cook them to prevent drying in hot spots. This is great for if you've frozen the vegetables or the vegetables require a long cooking time, such as carrots or sweet potatoes. It'll help to get them cooked a little bit faster if you're on that time crunch. And how about buying and storing the vegetables? That's important too. When you choose fresh vegetables, choose the ones that are firm, that are not wilted, and they don't have brown spots on them or soft spots on them. They don't have to be perfect, they don't have to be the perfect shape or anything like that, but you want to try to avoid those spots. Vegetables are that are mishapen or just a little, they're just as nutritious as those that look picture perfect. So even the ones that, we see here in these pictures, even if they have a little bit of a, blemish on them or something, they're still okay. They're still going to be just as nutritious. Make sure not to wash the leafy green vegetables until you're ready to use them. But always wash vegetables, even those that you won't be eating the skin of. If it's not washed, when you cut through the skin, you're going to be bringing that dirt and bacteria onto the skin, into the flesh that you will be eating. So perfect example is an onion. You chop off the ends and you cut off that skin. Well, when you go to do that, you've cut through the skin into the, into the middle where you're going to be eating. So be sure to wash those so that nothing from the outside transfers to the inside of the food that you're eating that could have some type of bacteria on it or something that you're not aware of. To freeze vegetables, most are going to need to be blanched first. As I mentioned, you're going to want to put them in an airtight container or a freezer bag. And we have more information on freezing specific vegetables. You want to look at the USDA's National Center for Home Preservation. So you always want to use something that is, recommended, like a cooperative extension or the USDA's website there for the Center for Home Preservation. These sites are going to have the most up-to-date information on how to preserve fruits and vegetables and other foods. If you're using other older recipes, grandmom's recipe, our food supply has changed a lot. So you want to make sure that you use something that's safe and healthy. And these cooperative extension and the USDA sites, they're constantly looking at the science and updating things to keep us safe when we're preserving or blanching and freezing, like I mentioned. What about organic vegetables? So the USDA organic symbol that you can see here was designed to educate about the National Organic Program and organic vegetables, and not necessarily to promote purchasing of organic products. Providing this information endeavors to empower you, so it's to inform you as the consumer to make educated choices. The USDA organic food is produced without using most conventional pesticides, fertilizers made with synthetic ingredients, or sewage sludge, bioengineering, or iodizing radiation. And then organic meat, poultry, eggs, and dairy products come from animals that are given no antibiotics or growth hormones. Allowable substances that can be used in organic farming are found on the national list of allowed and prohibited substances. And for something to carry the United States Department of Agriculture, USDA organic seal, farms are accredited by the USDA certifying agents. So organic farming primarily focuses on good soil quality and plant health. And this is monitored by the National Organic Program established by Congress in the 1990s The National Organic Program develops the rules and regulations for the production, handling, labeling, and enforcement of all USDA organic products. And although some vegetables with an organic seal are not grown in the United States, they are certified through agencies such as Quality Assurance International, which is QAI, and that was started in 1989 and is a USDA accredited certified agency. And they are approved to provide organic certification in accordance with USDA's National Organic Program. So they align those programs. Excuse me. All right. So remember, I had mentioned that the World Cancer Research Fund, American Cancer Institute for Cancer Research recommendations, and just to go over a little bit about their guidelines, they're very specific, recommending that we eat a diet high in all types of plant foods and including at least 5 portions or servings, which is at least 15 ounces in total. Of a variety of non-starchy vegetables and fruits every day. And if you eat starchy roots and tubers as a staple food, eat non-starchy vegetables, fruits, and legumes regularly too, if possible. These recommendations are very specific because this is a global recommendation, and it's meant to be to send the message to anyone who consumes starchy vegetables as their staple vegetable, which is potato. Remember, we said potatoes, yams, or sweet potatoes, to work towards increasing their non-starchy choices if possible. So that would include, making sure you also get green leafy vegetables, cruciferous vegetables, and others reviewed, because it's these are the things that we need for that cancer protection. And it seems to be primarily coming from based on current research that's out there that they're using these recommendations. Although there is some benefits from starchy vegetables such as sweet potatoes and yams, they should be eaten in moderation, and more choices should come from vegetables of the non-starchy category. So again, as I mentioned before, you don't want to load up on just the starchy vegetables. I know some people just eat starchy vegetables. You want to try to get a variety in there and get everything, kind of balanced out with that variety between starchy and non-starchy. The American Heart Association recommends include adding color to your diet with fruits and vegetables by including them at every meal and snack, and trying new ways to sneak them into vegetables and meals. And that means for not just you, but for children, adults and children as well. And to do this, the American Heart Association suggests shredding vegetables like zucchini, beets, parsnips, and carrots by adding them raw or sauteing them first. So adding them into different dishes that way. Other ideas include replacing a portion of meat in your recipes with mushrooms, or blending cooked or pureed orange vegetables such as pumpkin, butternut squash, sweet potatoes, and carrots into cheesy dishes like mac and cheese or in enchiladas. And if you might have already done so, but make a smoothie with these fruits and veggies. Like, I used to do spinach and kale and with my shake, and you're putting like strawberries in there, and you don't even taste the veggies, so you can sneak them in that way. And to prevent diabetes for those with or for those with type 2 diabetes, the American Diabetes Association recommends creating meals with a healthy balance of vegetables, again, that variety, protein and carbohydrates, by using their diabetes plate method. This plate method has 4 parts. 1/2 of the plate should include non-starchy vegetables, 1/4 with lean protein choices, and 1/4 with carbohydrate choices. And you want to choose water or low-calorie drink options if you are in that category of prediabetes or diabetes might affect your family, or you have diabetes. Then there's the My Plate recommendations, and these are based on individual age, gender, and activity level, but they average about 2.5 cups to 4 cups of vegetables for women, and about 3 to 4 cups for men per day. And you can go to myplate.com for specifics of your needs, and that'll figure out, again, by your activity level, your gender, and your age. And all forms of vegetables count towards this, half your plate, fruits and vegetables a day. And this means they can be raw, they can be cooked, frozen, canned, dried, dehydrated, as well as whole, cut up, mashed, and even vegetable juice counts. Remember the fiber I've talked about so much. You want to make sure I always tell the kids, if you're going to choose something, try to choose the whole instead of having tomato juice, try to choose the tomato because it's going to have better fiber attached to it. But if not, the juice also counts as well. Beans and peas, also known as legume or pulses, they can count too. If the total amount of beans eaten in a day is equal to or amount or more than the suggested intake from the protein food, then one can count that. So if you're eating, it as a replacement, you can count it, the beans as your vegetable group. So how are we doing with eating these veggies? Not real great. The state indicator report on fruits and vegetables of 2018 released by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention indicated that nationally, state surveys indicate that only 1 in 10 adults gets enough fruits and vegetables. And on average of only 9.3% of adults are eating the recommended amount of vegetables. So only about 2% of high school students meet the vegetable recommendation. So the teenagers are really low. I'm sure that's probably not a surprise to some of the parents or grandparents out there. Income is an indicator of the likelihood of meeting the vegetable recommendations. Those below or close to poverty levels were found to be less likely to meet the vegetable intake recommendations, with only 7% of those below or close to the poverty level eating the recommended amount. 11.4% of adults in the highest household income category are eating the recommended amount. And New Jersey is below the average intake for overall. In New Jersey, we're only eating about 8.3% of us are meeting that recommendation. The majority of people in this country are not coming close to meeting the vegetable intake recommendations. So it's important to try to bump that up, and hopefully after seeing the presentation today, you'll be encouraged to go out and eat more fruits and veggies. We are experiencing a chronic consumption crisis, with 9 out of 10 Americans not eating enough fruits and vegetables each day. And in fact, people are eating fruits and vegetables less frequently. It's at a decrease of nearly 10% since 2004, according to the Produce for Better Health Foundation. Despite the decades of the industry and the public putting out there, we need to eat more fruits and vegetables, we're actually losing ground on that. Most significant is a 16% decrease in vegetable consumption frequency. And in the past 5 years alone, overall fruit and vegetable consumption has decreased by 3%, indicating the trend is worsening every year. And as a result, it's time for a new era of conscious consumption, which means having a heightened awareness of what we purchase and eat. Our choices, they have a rippling effect, and they can impact our health and well-being over long term. As well as our families and our communities and our environment. And that really means, increased costs of health benefits and costs we're putting out for disease prevention, or when, unfortunately, if we get a disease from not eating what we should be eating, what we might be laying out. So it can be cost prohibitive too. To make this, to follow up on this concept of conscious consumption, it's really encouraged by the PBH to create habits that can be easily repeated. So start by finding what works for you. Stick to your easiest, your favorite, and most acceptable options, like even if it's the same ones, and then find ways to add in more servings of vegetables each day. Have a plan, have a plant. And plan your day and week with snacks and meals. So think about ways, if you have those fruits and veggies, ready for you, cut up or whatever, try eating them that way, because if they're already packaged and ready to go, you're going to be more likely to grab them as a snack. So think about doing that. Also, fresh, frozen, canned, dried, 100% juice, build off of that. Start somewhere, but you can use all of them to meet the requirements. Build your meal with vegetables as the star, or at least half of the plate. Make them the focus of the nutrient-dense food that you're going to eat. And add in things like whole grains, low-fat dairy, and lean protein. And repeat consistently, be always consciously asking yourself, did I have that fruit and veggie today? Where am I going to add it into that meal? Where am I going to add it into that snack? And become aware of what you're eating. Try adding 1 cup of spinach into your morning smoothie. You're going to get it right off the bat right there. Handful of vegetables as a mid-morning snack, like carrots or celery chopped up, a veggie-filled salad to start your lunch or dinner every day. And then, just keep going with repetition. Think about where you can add it in, talk to friends, find variety, look for recipes. But, it takes a little step at a time. Don't worry about hitting that mark right away. Just think about constantly creating additional consumption as you go through your days and add to it gradually. If you're not used to including a lot of vegetables in your family's diet, maybe make it easy. Like I said, add more fruits and vegetables. It doesn't have to be hard. If you're cleaning, chopping, and cooking fresh vegetables, you might not be as likely to eat them. Choose things that are fresh, but also try to chop ahead. If I usually have some cans of tomatoes. You can have a can of tomato that you add into a pasta dish or something like the shrimp and pasta. So you can use frozen or canned if convenience is an issue and you can't chop, or you can use the fresh. It's important that you eat them, not how you make it easy. It's more important that it's easy so that you do eat them. Make it different. One problem with eating some vegetables is that we have them the same way every time. Green beans are steamed or boiled, potatoes are mashed or baked, carrots are raw with a dip. And this can become boring and it makes you not want to eat them. Like, I want something different. You want to change it up. So try something different, at least one new thing a month. So start out in a month, one new thing in a month, in a variety of different ways. Serve up the fresh green bean salad instead of boiling them, or roast them with a variety of other vegetables, such as sweet potatoes, carrots, and beets, instead of just boiling or mashing them. So, be creative with them. Try adding those fresh herbs, like I said. Don't forget, make it fun. Have fun with your food, especially if you're cooking for children, right? They're so hard, but the funner it is, the more likely that they're going to be able to be encouraged to eat it. Think about great colors of vegetables to have to color parties for servings. An all orange snack of carrots, orange peppers, and roasted sweet potato sticks. Like that might help them to be encouraged that they like orange. And it's attractive looking to them. It's eye catching. Let them help with the preparation. Studies have found that kids that help to prepare, they're more likely to eat it and get involved. So they'll be more likely to eat it then, and they'll be more likely to prepare and eat it as an adult. Finally, make it happen. Choose one new vegetable at a time and focus on it when planning meals, shopping, or preparing meals. For example, if you're increasing root vegetables as your goal, then plan at least one meal a week at first that you can make to include them. Before you know it, you'll be on your way to really changing it up and increasing them, and you'll be eating more fruits and vegetables and increasing that consumption. And I always think about, with my favorite meals, what am I going to have with that? So, if I'm making a chicken dish, oh, I like broccoli with that, so I'll change that with broccoli. But maybe in the summertime, you have some zucchini with that to change it up a little bit. So think about the seasons too, how you can change through the season and eat what's in season. Learn more ways to include a variety of fruits and vegetables in your family's diet at these sites. So the My Plate, and fruit and vegetables for better health. Check what's fresh in New Jersey, and the AICR's great veggie list. And I'll send those out to you, follow up when I get the list from Julie of who attended. These are our other functional food for life educational programs. As you can see, like I said, chocolate, coffee, berries, mushrooms, tea, and the vegetables as well. So hopefully, we brought the vegetables together to the table. You're encouraged now to eat more vegetables. You have some ideas. And again, I just want to thank Sherry for creating this presentation. It's always fun to give and interesting as well. For me, it gives me some ideas to remind me as well, even though it's what I do every day.